You guys ready? We like to talk about films for your consumption. Come take a seat, I'll tell you something. If you like movies, we're the thing for you. You're watching FilmBrew
Podcast. I'm your host, Bernie Mascareñas.
And I'm Jason Perez. And thank you, our glorious viewers, for tuning into the FilmBrew Podcast.
Thank you.
As you can see, me and Bertie are alone today, once more.
Sure wish we had a guest with us.
I sure wish that, a guest from one of our previous podcasts or something like that would appear out of nowhere.
Oh man!
Oh my God!
Look at that!
It's David
Flores.
Flores.
Here I am. After how long?
You haven't been on an episode since the first one.
And this is our 10th episode.
I think this is
Okay, but we need to address the fact that we haven't had an episode in
in a whole month. I know on the last podcast we said we'll be more consistent. We said that in the last podcast, and it's been a whole month.
Yeah,
It's been a whole long month.
We haven't done nothing.
I said I was gonna return.
We
like,
sincerely
a long
you can't
time
even
ago.
see David.
We said David was gonna come. We said David will be back on every single episode we made since then, and now he is. You see, so we keep our promises.
We do keep our promises.
Okay, but now we have a schedule thanks to our great FilmBrew manager, Hannah Rouse.
Woo! But Brody, regardless of any of that, we can't be called FilmBrew without the brew. So today I'll introduce the glorious coffee for today.
Be so careful, baby.
As you can see, today's coffee is called Lavazza.
Okay, we're not gonna do
Now I don't know what that means, but it's called Perfecto coffee. So Hannah actually bought this coffee for us, like a couple minutes before the podcast we started recording. And so it's from Torino, Italia, 1895. Perfecto, dark and velvety noir and velouté. Wow, very interesting. So it's a dark roast. That's all the information it gives me right now, besides dark and velvety. But I mean, this looks promising. Do we have a coffee we haven't liked?
I don't think we have.
Yeah, we haven't had a coffee that we never liked. But I guess this is since 1895. The Lavazza family has been devoted to the pursuit of coffee perfection, true Italian coffee taste. Our passion, your pleasure.
I've heard that before.
So you may be asking why we got such an Italian coffee for? Why we got such a gabagool
I wonder
coffee?
what movie we're doing today. I sure do wonder what.
David, why don't you tell them what movie we're doing today?
Well, it's a kind of an oldie, but you know what? Even the oldies are still they're amazing. And well, the special movie, you probably know it. It's Godfather.
The Godfather. Didn't care for the Godfather.
Insist upon itself.
But since we're all gonna die, there's one more secret I feel I have to share with you. I did not care for the Godfather.
What?
Did not care for the Godfather.
How can you even say that, Dad?
Didn't like it.
What are you doing?
Wait,
Why?
I thought you were gonna sip it. We don't sip without sipping each other's first. We sip it together for sipping.
You're right.
What's wrong with you?
Didn't you just sip?
No, I was, but I stopped myself.
Then what are they talking about? You sipped.
No, I didn't. You could
You
check
did.
back in the footage when you're
No.
editing this. You'll see that I put it up and I don't sip it. We don't sip without sipping each other's first. You could check back in the footage when you're editing this. You'll see that I put it up and I don't sip it. I don't sip without sipping your. I don't sip without sipping together. Then let's sip together.
I love you guys.
Let's sip together.
Damn.
Did you say velvety?
Velvety.
No, I taste that.
Yeah, I'm gonna taste that.
Taste that.
Yeah.
Taste that.
What do you think? What do you think?
Well, I don't know.
Not
for
McDonald's
me,
coffee.
I like McDonald's coffee. That's like the only coffee I always drink.
I don't know how to describe this with words.
Not much
It's
of a
so
coffee.
smooth. Like, it's incredibly smooth. This is a coffee that I've been looking for, because I'm such a fan of dark roast. like such a fan. Like a dark roast is my go-to coffee, as opposed to like a medium roast or like a specialty coffee, because it's just so rich. Like it's so much richer than the other coffees we've had, and it's almost like
It's not my favorite coffee, but it's definitely a different. It's like a. We had a conversation today in journalism about Beyonce and Adele, and how they're both up there, but they cannot. They're in two separate categories of like. That's what I'm thinking of when I'm thinking about this coffee.
So
it's not my favorite coffee,
Beyonce
but it's
or
like
Adele?
it'd be Beyonce.
This is a pretentious coffee.
Very much.
I like it a lot. I think it's delicious. All right.
It's a coffee some white guy would give you in like a different country.
I agree. No, I wholeheartedly agree with you.
Not saying that's the bad thing.
It's a good coffee though.
It's a good coffee. I'll be like, yeah, you're right, white boy. Brazil.
I have a Brazilian coffee
How about
up
Cuban
in my
coffee?
cupboard. I have not tried it. We should try Cuban coffee.
I heard their coffee is.
We do a podcast on I in Cuba.
Oh, we can do a podcast on Scarface.
Nah, fuck. We're not doing that shit.
Speaking of Scarface, though, The Godfather. All right, once again, one of the most talked about films of all time. You know, this is The Godfather. If you haven't heard of The Godfather, then I mean, honestly, like, how have you
Outta
not heard
here.
of The Godfather? Get out of here.
Out of here.
You coming to my house without watching The Godfather first.
Coming.
Speaking of Italians, right? Is that your transition to pasta? We have a special thing. We're the first podcast on the entire internet. Okay, I'm not gonna guarantee.
No one's ever done this.
No one has ever done this before. But Hannah, my dear, would you please hand me over the pot of pasta that we have prepared for this podcast? Take a look at that. It looks delicious. If I don't say so myself. So Brody, David, Hannah, Rents, and I, we made this pasta with love.
We.
In dedication
That's French.
to The Godfather. So get this coffee out of here for a second.
We're no longer film brew, we're film food. David, get the pasta.
Get the pasta, David.
We're gonna be asking my boy.
The second episode.
Don't worry, film brewers.
Hayden. Oh, wow. We should have got some. We should have got some. Yes, at least.
The power of editing.
They say you gotta serve your friends before you serve yourself.
Yeah.
Because a real man isn't a man if you don't spend time with his family. True. And David, my brother, you're my family.
This is what we call classism. Hey. Thank you.
I hate you.
I'm gonna put the pasta behind you. Let's make a toast to FilmBrew
Francis Ford Coppola.
To FilmBrew.
Yeah.
Sofia Coppola.
And the great places we're going. All right.
Great place to go.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. We gotta grab a ghoul. So let's
make an
without
introduction.
further ado.
The Godfather.
The Godfather. So I hope you enjoyed our little more spectacular intro. You know, we just wanted to give you something for a whole month. You know.
Yeah. I mean, we're really just giving ourselves this.
This is why he's on the podcast. He's not gonna be talking.
He didn't come to the podcast if we weren't gonna have food. That's the only reason he came.
My story for The Godfather. That's a good way to start this. It's our story to The Godfather. My story to The Godfather is my dad screaming and beating me, saying, "Watch The Godfather. Watch it."
This dude never seen The Godfather before this.
And so then I love the theaters, and ever since COVID hit, and since the theaters are back open now, I've been doing my best to just be supporting my local theater. But yeah, so I've been going to the movies a lot, and I've been looking at movies coming up, and I noticed they're showing The Godfather for the 50th anniversary, I think it was.
50th anniversary.
And so I was like, you know what? I've never seen The Godfather. If I'm gonna go see it in my life, it's gonna be in the theaters.
Can we just talk about how you've never seen The Godfather?
Never seen it. I'm 18 years old. I'm 18 years old. About to be a
He's
college
a
student.
whole man, and he's never seen The Godfather. So yeah, Harkins Theaters was showing, like, throwing it back for The Godfather. They were throwing it back for The Godfather. 50 years And so Birdie was like, Jason, they're showing The Godfather in theaters. I was like, no way. I was like, David, they're showing The Godfather in theaters. They're like, what better way to watch The Godfather for the first time than in the movie theaters?
Not only in the movie theaters, with your best pals and your father.
David snuck a chicken sandwich.
He snuck a chicken sandwich.
That was one of the best things I've ever done in my life.
Hi, can I get a spicy chicken sandwich?
Just a sandwich?
Yeah, just a sandwich.
Films in the movie theater are so much immersive
Mm.
than like a regular like movie on your couch.
You get way more distracted from the movie. Just the sense of being there just feels great.
And it was just an incredible film to watch in the theater. Now oh yeah, and this was part 1 and 2. So what's your Godfather story, Jason?
My Godfather story is another interesting story, right? So I was a sophomore. I was a sophomore at Yonker High School. I went on this little rampage of pirating movies on my laptop from school. I watched The Departed for the first time, The Wolf of Wall Street in the first time on my school laptop. And then, I love Goodfellas so much. And so, I mean, you can't have heard of Goodfellas without hearing about The Godfather, one of the most notorious mob films of all time. And so I was like, I gotta watch The Godfather. So every day at school, I started filming Godfather Part 1, obviously. And, I watched the entire Godfather Trilogy in my drafting and design class in sophomore year.
Well, my story, it's around junior year, beginning of junior year. And I always had this idea, hey, I need to watch The Godfather. Because everyone can, a lot of people always say, oh, this is one of the greatest movies of all time. And I just got really interested in it. And for a lot of times, I keep on saying to myself, I'm going to watch it today. Never happens. I'm going to watch it the next day. Never happens. I don't know, it's a weird habit of mine. Just to say I'm going to do something and I never do it. But so, one day, my brother goes up to me and he says, you know what? Let's watch The Godfather. And you know what? We decided to watch it.
Like
And
what you
boom.
did with your mom with Wolf of Wall Street? So yeah, that's our Godfather stories. Very interesting stories we have here. Like Godfather, I think a good thing, a cool thing about The Godfather is that it's like one of those things where you just tell, like, my first time watching The Godfather.
Yeah, I mean, it's just gonna stick with you for your entire life. So, The Godfather Part 1.
Yes.
Alright. Right off the bat, the film starts off with one of the most gorgeously put together scenes in all of film. We have that zoom out from the dude, and he's like,
There's that story about how
His daughter got beat. The
Talking
story,
about the film. He's talking-
the film, and like in the story where it shows the dude who's asking the Godfather a favor because his daughter, some men,
their
some men-
boyfriend.
was her boyfriend?
Yeah, we watched the movie.
Yeah.
Explaining it though.
Yes, no, but the story, I was talking about a real life story.
Oh, real life?
Yes.
Wow, I was about to say
about
wow.
the cinematographer underlining the scenes
Yeah.
and the producer trying to make him not do that.
Really?
Yeah, and that's why the film is so like dark and darkly lit, and the producers. I read about it a little bit, but the producers are like assholes during the whole thing.
Right.
Which is why when I watched the Oscars when it won Best Picture, and the producers go up there and they're so excited and happy, this gives me a little distasteful feeling because you see these producers who try to destroy this film so much
like creatively. Imagine how ahead of its time this is. Like imagine back then
Early
seeing
70s.
that in the early 70s, a shot like that.
It just feels like
Come on.
out of nowhere.
How you
Just
doing?
for a lot of people.
It's
Just
so
imagine that.
incredible.
You're in theaters, you're expecting just some normal movie. Just about in the 40s, like crime and everything. But no, you just,
have-
that opening shot just.
You have
gives
films
a
like
good feeling.
the Untouchables, right? You've seen the Untouchables, right? I mean, like, it's a completely different thing from The Godfather, another mob film. It's just, changed a lot of rules and broke a lot of rules that were traditional of filmmaking at the time.
And you can see so many filmmakers that took from this film. Like again, I forgot what it was. It was a montage. They showed the newspapers cutting in. It was like masked over the scenes. When I was watching, I was like, "That's Scorsese."
That's Scorsese, yeah.
As Scorsese saw that and just ran with it.
Oh, which shows all that the newspapers show
Yeah.
the dead bodies.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Like,
Scorsese
that's
does that a lot
Scorsese,
with like the family photos that he uses in his films. like
Goodfellas,
Like in
like
Goodfellas.
like the wedding,
exactly.
like wedding, or like around like having a trip, like all of them like they're hanging out and just
Yeah.
showing them the moments.
Like I'll say now that I don't. Goodfellas is Goodfellas. No, nothing's ever gonna be Goodfellas.
No.
Goodfellas is the definitive mobster film. But I will say that without The Godfather, there probably wouldn't be Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Probably would have been like a lot more.
The
films.
Godfather walked so that Goodfellas can run.
That's true.
Sure. Oh, fun fact.
Irishman.
Fun facts. The
He's
director.
doing it this time, my boy.
Fun
Fun
fact. The
fact.
director of Godfather, he decided to just because I think before that he never studied anything about directing before filming Godfather. So he never studied anything about directing.
Wasn't he a screenwriter?
Hmm?
Is it for Coppola?
I don't know.
I'm thinking of
Mario Puzo, whatever his name is.
like he never
He wrote
took
the
like
book, but he never wrote a script
Yeah.
before.
He like never took any classes or anything either.
And I read this funny thing about it. It's like he wrote a script, The Godfather, based off his own book, and he's only written books. He's never written scripts before.
Yeah.
And then at one point in his life, he decided to learn how to write scripts better. And so he bought a book, and he said in one of the first chapters of the book, it says, "How to open a film? You look to The Godfather."
That's crazy.
Like this dude, he's never, he
Yeah.
bought this book to learn how to be better at writing scripts, and it mentions one of the films he wrote for.
Imagine that. You see your own something that you never done, and you're just like, you know what, I'm gonna check this out. I'm gonna see how it's like.
It
And you see your
credits
own work.
Yeah.
So I meant like being that notorious. Can't imagine your face.
Imagine.
You know what I
Like,
love about this
imagine.
film? Is that Coppola went from making this film to making another great classic, Apocalypse Now, to making Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, to making Jack. Have any of you guys seen Jack? Jack is a great movie. I say it's on par with The Godfather. So basically, it's about Robin Williams. Plays a 12-year-old kid.
I feel like
No, Robin Williams plays a 12-year-old kid.
During the 70s, well, most of the time during the early times with the crime was
Yeah.
big, mafia. The mafia didn't want they didn't want to be publicly known as these criminals. So when Godfather was being made, the director, he showed the script to I forgot the crime boss, the boss's name, but he showed him to him, and he had to cross out a lot of the things because he wanted to be more friendly. He didn't want the crime to be seem bad.
Yeah.
that's funny because we see that in the movie. We see a crime boss.
Oh yeah, we see it
Yeah.
happen. Which I don't know if that like is real or not, but like that felt watching it. I felt like that's kind of like he put that in the film just for the fact for everything that he was going
Yeah.
through. Just
I mean
trying to
that
get
would
movie
make
made.
sense. Like
Okay, my only fault, since we're still in the first Godfather room, I only have one fault with this film, and because I think the first like hour or first 2 hours, or no, first like hour and a half, it's so paced well, it's so structured greatly. But then there's a certain part where it kind of just like it goes like this, and then it goes like this. There's like a certain part
Where
where
it
it
goes
slows
fast.
extremely down. And
Kinda
I think it's
all
when he
over
went
the
to
place.
Italy.
that is
When
yeah.
because like the scenes where he's in is just kind of weird. It's right there, then it goes back, and it's like okay, and then it's,
Yeah, that is true. The cuts
weird.
to the
So at the beginning of the film, we see Michael as he's a veteran. You know,
he's
got-
very much not proud of what his family does.
Yeah,
He says it over and that's my
There's-
family's business. It's not my business.
Yeah.
he say, like he doesn't hide it. He doesn't say it, like he says like no, this is my family.
Family, it's not me.
This is them. And at one point, I think he said like, "Oh, they kill." Like he straight
Yeah.
admitted like
When she
to
asked what
what
was the
Yeah.
offer that he made.
and yeah, like he's not scared to do so. And
Yeah.
well, I like that. But that's one of the things that I like about Michael at the beginning because he's not afraid to do like
I think we all like Michael at the beginning.
Michael at the beginning.
At the
he
beginning,
he
we
was
all
a
like
great
Michael at
character.
the beginning.
Because I mean, think about it. He went to college. You know, he was a veteran. While it's a huge difference from the rest of his family. Like his brothers are all involved in the family business and all that. His father obviously, and so he's kind of an outsider to the family. You know, and it's established pretty well that they don't see him necessarily not as family, but they see him as something that is not, you know, related to their family
Yeah.
business.
Oh, one of my
Yeah.
favorite scenes is when Vito finds out what Michael did. You can see his heart being broken, and like he put
he
his
knows,
hands
like-
over his head, like he knows that.
It's weird because I don't know how he could know, but I felt like something in him just knew that he couldn't handle this,
Yeah.
the life he was getting into.
Salazzo.
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 So Yeah, Salazzo was a big part of what.
Yes.
Don't die on us, bro.
So Salazzo was this character, this guy who, I mean, Vito expressed that he didn't want to put the family business in drugs because he thought it was like, it wasn't good for the community, it wasn't good for business. And I think this shows the kind of leader that Vito was. So like the way he interacted with his attorney and the way he interacted with Michael especially, because I like what you said about that. How when they were doing business, Michael would always suggest something and they'd be like, no, you don't know, you're not part of this, And that shows how Michael was and his role in the family at the
They're
beginning.
very two different leaders.
Yeah.
I'll say that, like, after watching so many mobster films, I was thinking that Godfather would be very repetitive because I've seen all the films that were inspired by it. But what I really found so interesting was that this is one of the only mobster films where the whole mob isn't destroyed by the FBI or
Right,
police.
like
Like Goodfellas, Casino, everything else is.
They all go to jail at the end.
Yeah, but this one is the family. The family's the one that crumbles it down.
Yeah.
And that's very interesting.
Well, the business drives everything.
business,
The
yeah.
family it just gets destroyed, which I really enjoy.
And that's a big line in the film where it's like, it's not personal, it's just business. That's very true. Everything that happens, every betrayal, every letdown, every failure, it's just business at the end.
It's like
That's-
it's the difference between Vito and Michael. Well, Michael is more on the business side. Vito built because if you remember,
And you see it a lot in part two that he did everything out of his family. For his family, for his people.
everything that Vito built his first family personally. He did it because of them. But Michael, on the other hand, you could tell that as slowly progresses, he slowly starts to lose himself.
Let's talk about Sonny for a little bit because I think
that's true.
he's the closest to Vito, and I think I like how they made his anger issues such a big thing.
Yeah.
It's like if he didn't have those issues, he could have been the next Don.
Yeah.
He could have been the one to replace Vito.
And I feel like Vito kind of wanted him. That he saw him as his one child that's gonna carry on the family business.
That scene. Let's just say that scene. I wanted to walk out of the theater. I was like, I hated it. I was
I'm not gonna
fucking
spoil
hate it.
that. But you're right. Yeah.
I love James Caan, and I love him in this film. He's one of my favorite actors. So, and Sonny overall is just such a great character. Incredible.
Really, dude. So when their sister Connie, her boyfriend, is it? I think it was her boyfriend or her husband.
At the time,
It's
it becomes her husband.
Her
It
boyfriend
becomes her
then becomes her husband.
or he was physically abusing her, and she'd come home and she'd tell Sonny, and he would do.
It was her husband. The film fucking opens up with the wedding.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
With her husband, right? So there's the scenes where Connie, she has her husband, and her husband's physically abusing her, and when Sonny catches wind of this, his, you see where
His temperament.
I mean,
I'm
not saying he's wrong for just going and beating the shit out of him.
But
right?
if you were the enemy, you would see that as a weakness.
Yeah.
And you would use that.
Well, at the same time, you start seeing the building, you start seeing when Connie,
Foreshadows it.
because remember the dinner scene whenever the family was together for a bit. You can see where I forgot his name, Connie's husband, whatever. You can start see you can see he was kind of aggressive with her, and when Sonny caught wind that, he was like, "Hey, don't do that to my sister."
You see that.
You start slowly still seeing that build up, which was cool.
And it builds up to the worst goddamn scene in the film.
You could tell.
Yeah, we
Brody-
won't spoil to you guys what happens at that point moving forward with the family.
Fuck up, dude.
It was fucked up. It was. I'm so sorry that happened to you, Brody. He's so sad.
A tear
Caan
went
is
down
dead.
his eye.
So he's not dead. James Caan is not dead.
You just spoiled it.
You said James Caan was dead, you idiot. Spoiler alert. James Caan is not dead.
Another character that was a big role.
Fredo.
Fredo, dumbass.
Oh
That's
my
you.
Well, Fredo in the first.
You're Fredo.
I think out of the three of us, I think you would be Michael.
No, I don't see Brody.
You would be Michael.
No, you would.
That's exactly what we said about Michael at the beginning of the film.
No, he's
You know,
more.
he
see me in
couldn't be
English
that.
class.
He couldn't be that. You know, he couldn't become this notorious mob, but that's Brody. That's Brody right now. Brody's pre-Don, pre-gangstified Michael.
Well,
right, you're Fredo,
I'm so sorry for what I'm
and
doing.
I think I'm Sonny.
well, Fredo's character. Okay. Well, I was saying, okay, Fredo's character he was a big part in the first film, but second film, that was when he was the biggest. Well, you could say that he was one of the main people.
I think the first film, it foreshadows
Yeah,
everything.
it establishes what the role that Fredo plays.
Because you see the thing with Las Vegas, everything that happens there, he doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know why Michael's so offended,
Yeah.
you know? Because doesn't have that mentality that
Yeah.
Michael has.
Because
It doesn't in general. He doesn't have the mentality at all.
The whole film they treat Fredo as kind of like the brunt of the litter. You know, he's not as smart as us. He's not.
They push him around. They don't care because.
And Fredo takes it. You know, he's never gonna speak up about it. He never did. And
But I think what that shows, the first film shows so well, is that Fredo is very easily
manipulated. Yeah.
He's quick to he doesn't think like as much. Like he's quick every time he.
Talk about yourself.
I hate you so much. So
Fredo.
all right then.
I'm kidding.
Go on,
David.
David,
No,
go
don't
on.
leave.
I'm
You want another
good.
plate of pasta? I'll give you another plate of pasta, Fredo. We'll send you to Las Vegas, Fredo. Yeah, Fredo was just that character that
God
they throw
damn
around.
it,
The
Fredo.
brother that he's the Chris of the family, right? So you know they sent him out to Las Vegas, you know, because you know let's be honest, they find him useless, kinda. So they're like send him to Las Vegas, do the Las Vegas stuff. Yeah, that's that for the first film, right? So, do we talk about when they kill Salazzo?
Well, you already said it, so.
Well, we can clip that out though, because I feel like that what happens there is what kind of solidifies Michael's role in the family.
And
Yes.
wait, that scene. And since we're talking about that scene, I really love the part where
That's my
right
favorite
after
scene.
he gets the gun and he sits down, his mind shuts off. He's
Yeah.
right there. He's just sitting there, not like he knows what he's gonna do.
I love the trains and shit. Just all of it.
He hears everything, and then you slowly
I
hear.
just thought about Safi Brothers in that moment.
Yeah.
I feel like such Safi Brothers definitely took
Who's
some
talking-
Do you want to explain what happened?
So, okay, so a meeting was supposed to happen, and Michael wants to decides to be the one to volunteer in the meeting because he was the one that was least suspected to do anything, because he was considered the innocent one. And so, of course, Michael was the one that goes to the meeting, and during that time, they were just talking with him about like the business, what's gonna happen with like Vito and all that. And so he goes to the bathroom because a gun was placed in one near like on the toe.
Yeah, and the whole setup to that, how they explained the kind of like the plan of action for him was great. Where they talk about, you know, this is a tape that we're gonna wrap around the handle. It's fingerprint proof. They go and he test fires the gun and stuff.
Yeah, that's
and like everything that like builds up to that, everything that's.
It
set
doesn't
up.
feel like unnecessary. It feels
No,
not like it would like of course things like those.
I feel like that sequence there is what inspired all like the Goodfellas stuff and all
It
the.
inspired so much. Just
Yes.
that one scene. I felt watching that theaters. I was like, this is innovative. This came out 50 years ago, but this is innovative.
Yeah.
This is something.
And you know, what it reminded me of was the scene in The Irishman where he goes and kills the guy it was pretty much the same thing. You know, the internal like evaluation of how he's gonna carry out this hit was just beautiful.
There's so many great things.
And
to talk about
after
this
he
one.
kills Salazzo, and like you could see him after he kills him, you see like his face and everything. How he's like, I did it,
Yeah.
and he starts walking away, and like the instructions he was told to do
like
after
I
he
said,
kills,
walk away.
like walk away.
automatically,
You
but
see
he
him like
stops.
you see
He
him
doesn't
stopping right there, and right when like he's walking away, for a moment, you know, like he forgets to throw the gun,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and right when, like last moment, he throws away the gun. He's like,
The directing in that scene is phenomenal.
and after that, you know, the part with the newspapers and all that.
Yeah. That right there is what made The Godfather Part 1 my favorite film in the whole God. Because I remember seeing that as a sophomore. I had less film experience
Biology
at the
class.
time. It was actually drafting and design.
Drafting and design class.
But I remember at the time, like my experience with films and analyzing films wasn't as good as it is now. But you know, watching that, it completely blew my mind, right?
So good.
And I already had seen Goodfellas at the time. I already seen Mean Streets. already seen like all these great mobster films, and that was just like.
I really give credit to just Pacino's performance in that, because of course like the directing and performance goes hand in hand. Because it could have been just, all right, you shoot him, walk out, drop the gun. You could see the hesitation, you could see the fear, you could see this everything going through his head. He didn't say anything, but you could see it all in that moment. It was great.
I always kind of give value to films based on the emotional and physical effect that it has on me, right? Because that film, my heart felt like it was gonna beat out of my chest and get out and like slap me in the face and then like jump back inside my body or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I felt like it was gonna do that because every single time I watch that scene,
That's great.
it's just such a heart palpitating moment.
The whole baptism scene is a whole heart palpitating moment.
That is true.
That scene was.
It's that's what made The Godfather for me. Was that scene?
So, would you guys want to get to?
Yes.
Do you guys want to get
Isn't it
to Godfather Part 2?
Yeah, and-
that whole baptism
No,
scene.
let's
kinda
talk about the
sets
baptism
up-
Yeah, it's
scene.
baptism scene.
How beautiful that was, and how
That's such a great setup.
greatly constructed that scene was.
Incredible setup to the whole film leading
It
up to
just
that point.
when that scene happened, it just reminded me of the
Close-up
whole
in
entire.
Michael's face. The fact that he knew everything was going on in that moment.
We're not gonna tell you what happens. We're just gonna say there's this baptism scene.
He gets business done.
It just that scene. It just reminded me of the speech that Vito gave, like when we were talking earlier to the other bosses.
Yeah.
It's just like the whole connection, man. You just, it's great.
It's
Yeah, and when you watch this film, I'll tell you that baptism scene just foreshadows the character and the absolute monster that Michael Corleone is
about to
going to
become.
become in The Godfather Part 2.
Let's talk about that.
incredible fucking movie. Cinema at its highest. I remember watching. I told Jason right as the film ended. I turned to him. I said two things. One, greatest piece of cinema I've seen. Two, I have to use the bathroom. And I went and went to use the bathroom.
Because this movie is long.
It's 2.5 hours long. Again, I saw it in theaters, so it works for my benefit.
2.5 hours.
And you know,
Godfather 2?
3.5
Yeah,
hours.
it's
3.5.
longer than Godfather Part 1.
It's 3.5 hours.
And you know, me and
Like
Bernie
that.
both had our big, extra large cups of iced tea. And so, I mean, he
that
sat through the
down.
whole thing.
If I win,
I don't blame
would've
him.
bought chicken
I don't
sandwich.
blame
Yeah,
him.
you wouldn't go.
All
to
right,
the
he
bathroom.
didn't go to part 2. He
Yeah,
is.
I already saw it though.
Yeah, he had
like,
homework.
long
yeah,
before.
He had homework to do.
Yeah, hold on.
Nah, I had homework to do.
Homework.
So yeah, you didn't bring a chicken sandwich this time. I went to the bathroom
I didn't.
because, I mean, I already seen this movie, and I was gonna
Iced tea.
pee myself all over the theater if I
Put a
did.
photo of iced tea.
What's that noise?
It's owls. Leave them alone.
No.
So yeah, Godfather Part 2. I loved how it showed Michael's current present, how his development is going, and in reflection of
Vito.
as what he went through to get to where he was.
Yeah.
It was the two opposites.
Also, I also want to say the beginning part also like reestablishes how not really it does. It just shows how much Michael wants to show that he has power over
Yeah.
everything. When he talks with the politician,
He becomes so power obsessed.
yeah, it's like how he tries to make himself like I respect your opinion, but no, I won't accept that. And he always tries to make himself the bigger man, which I always love. And, it's such a great part of his character.
It is, and I love when it shows the high moments, and when Michael is becoming power obsessed, that's when it switches to Vito. Back
And it
in
shows
his
how-
old life. He wasn't concerned with power. He's more concerned with favors and just having people on his side,
Like for example,
getting
like,
things figured out.
you see how like Michael talks, like he's cold. He doesn't care. Like if someone like says something, he doesn't care about it. And then you cut to Vito, where it's saying like when he was working at that store and the owner, and that's when he got fired because he had
And he understood.
And he understood. He was like, I understood
He
you.
understands the way it
Like
works.
you're a good man. He thanked the man, and it shows the difference between him and Michael. And honestly, that part was great. That was one of the biggest parts of the film, the difference between those two.
But yeah, because that shows, you know, like in times of struggle, because you know the depression.
Yeah.
Right. This is during the depression era. So you know, there was a lot of poverty. There was a lot of famine, and Vito's main goal and why he did everything was for his family, because he had children, and you know that he had come to America create this life.
But it's just great. It's just it shows the beginning scene just shows why Vito's doing this in general.
Yeah.
Why he came to America.
Like,
why he just became who he is.
Yeah, I think like Vito's actions are just as cool as Michael's, but he has motives.
Motives
He
behind
has
it.
motives behind what he does. He has reason behind what he does.
And that's where the contrast is. Like Birdie says, like that's why this film is great, because it just shows that contrast, So we have the whole story of Vito and how his motives were created,
and a lot of things that the Michael's motives are more for him, for himself. Like the whole thing with
and for his image.
Yeah.
Also, okay. I get you.
Talk about the fact that what sets everything up for the part 2 was the shooting that happened at his house, and that's what kind of sets up everything. What's gonna happen? I knew from. I think it's because I remember because being 18, growing up in media and stuff, you see The Godfather. You don't watch The Godfather, but you see it whether you watch it or not. And so I always knew the New Year's Eve scene, that scene, which was an incredible scene. But and I just knew that what happened. I knew what happened. Like when the shooting happened, in the open, I knew. I knew it was you. Like I knew where it was going. I knew where it was set up. But like that scene is what you see everything just open up for the entire film.
I also love
it sucks that we can't spoil this, but
I also love the part where he would realize and remember, like it showed his face, like he slowly opens up his eyes more.
It was so obvious that he didn't know it would lead to that.
You know what?
That he did not know that was gonna happen. What happened was that happened.
It's surprising.
It's so obvious that he didn't know that was gonna happen. Like that's what I said. I feel bad for him.
Fredo?
Yes. Because I just feel he did not know that was gonna happen.
I feel like he tried doing things to impress
That's what
Michael.
he's gonna do.
To try, to try establishing his role in the family and that he is useful for something. And then I remember that there's the one scene where he's talking to Michael and he's like, who are you to give me orders, boss me around? You're my kid brother, Like, it's the fact that Michael's his younger brother and he's the one who's in a position of power within the family rather than his older brother, Fredo.
I don't know why haven't we talked about Robert Duvall?
Oh,
he was kind of like their advisor.
His name was Tom.
Tom. Yeah,
Tom.
Was he Vito was his godfather, right?
Vito?
Is that what it was?
No, well...
Who was Tom related to the family?
Tom was adopted.
Yeah,
Adopted.
he's not.
Yeah,
he
was friends with Sonny, and that's when Vito adopted him into the family.
He's the advisor for...
He's the lawyer and advisor for the family. And
Robert Duvall's in this movie.
He was
in both of them.
He was the second man next to Vito during that time.
Yeah.
But also his character was great. Like he felt like he was like one character where no matter what happens, he always went through it. And
he was very smart, especially the last scene or near the last scene in part 2, where it's like Michael's asking him if he's gonna go or not, and he knows just to tell him that you're gonna stay because he's seen what he's done. He knows.
I felt bad for his character.
Just like Tom had no other choice but to say, yeah, he's gonna stay. Because again, I saw these back to back, 2 days. I watched them. To me, that's the best one movie. It's one film.
That's the best
for me. Godfather and Godfather Part 2 is one film. But I would say if I had to choose, it'd be part 2, and I think the scene that made it for me was the dinner scene at the very end.
Oh my god! I was about to say that. I was about to say that scene. That was my favorite because
that scene is like okay.
Well, here's the thing with that scene. The first time I watched it, I didn't like. I was like, oh, this is just like kind of a reminder of what the family was. But the second time I saw that scene,
this what he is,
and what Michael's been for,
and what he has become.
Like it's like okay, if this film didn't show you, let me give you even more example. Like he does not do what he does for the family. He does it for himself.
Yeah. It just shows that for a long time, even before the events of Godfather 1, he kind of like a lot of the stuff he's always been that way.
Yeah.
I just think both of these films are incredible.
He's always been cold in sort of way. He's always
it's such a great structuring. Like those 3.5 hours are used so well.
And it's just like, especially in that final scene, it just shows the awkwardness of that, like just with him in general. Just every time he's with the family's like, in a sense, they're not whole. Because every time he's there, everyone just goes quiet.
And I love the use of the Don in that last scene.
And when Vito came in, well, you don't see him.
Yeah.
But when you hear the door open, that's when everyone got excited.
Gets up, everyone knows where to go to. They know how the family works.
because that scene in general it was so good.
And they start singing "Happy Birthday," and Michael just.
I'm so glad
It
that's how
was-
it ends, and that's the story of the Godfather.
Yeah, and there's
It is so
there's
great that that's his
nothing
name.
after that. There's
Nothing comes after
Well,
So yeah,
That's
that
alright.
was the Godfather podcast, guys.
That's the Godfather part
wait,
1 and
let's
part
talk about
2.
Godfather Part 3. You already know about it, right, Jason?
What are you talking about?
Oh, I'm
There's
sorry. I was
there-
thinking about the Father God.
The Father God.
Father God.
The Father John.
That is true. I don't know what I'm thinking. I'm sorry.
Godfather Part 3. How could we forget about the Godfather Part 3?
Wow. I never seen it before because
You've never seen the Godfather Part 3?
Well, David, I
I have my reasons.
I have something to tell you. I've never seen the Godfather Part 3 either.
You guys both haven't seen the Godfather Part 3.
Now let me tell.
I respect you because you
Whoa.
guys are lucky. You guys honestly are privileged and are so privileged and lucky to have not seen the Godfather Part 3 because I have.
And
I have seen the Godfather Part 3.
I've seen scenes from it.
And I'm willing to open up about my struggles with
come
my
out-
life.
They dragged me back in. I just seen that scene. It's one scene I've seen from Godfather Part 3.
okay, give us the
And
big.
in the Sophia
Okay,
Coppola.
give us the biggest reasons why Godfather Part 3 failed.
So the Godfather Part 3 failed because of awful and terrible acting, and awfully written. It kind of just throws everything that we know, not out the window specifically, but just in terms of pacing and everything. It's just out of here, right? There's an instance where Michael gives up his position as the Don in an instant to Sofia Coppola's boyfriend. Okay, there's incest in this movie.
I've heard about that too.
What?
There's
I've heard about
incest.
that.
Okay, I did not.
I read a line in that movie. Is
I
it
hate it.
is it true that there's a line in that movie like if you're against incest, it's because your family isn't beautiful or something?
What?
I don't remember.
It probably is in the movie. It probably
I read
is.
something about
It probably is.
Probably. Okay. So
that. Sofia
basically,
Coppola's cousin's Jason Schwartzman
he's not in this
and
film.
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. Anyway, so
Incest.
Sofia Coppola's character falls in love. Sofia Coppola's character falls in love with her own cousin, right? And so Michael sees himself within her cousin, right? That guy, because he's going down the same line of kind of like a ruthless kind of mafia guy. So in an agreement for her cousin not to marry her, he gives his role as the Don of the head of the family to the cousin
What?
in exchange for him not dating his daughter.
I don't think this movie exists.
It exists.
I don't think this
It
movie
wholeheartedly exists.
I don't know
Yes.
what you're talking about.
There's a scene where
Anyway,
Michael has a heart attack.
Godfather Part 1 and 2.
Jesus Christ.
Michael has a heart attack.
In
And then
the
he starts
cherry
going,
garden? Or
No,
tomato-
no, in his kitchen. And he starts going, Fredo. I'm not joking. I'm not joking,
That
guys.
does not happen.
It does. I will pull it
Fredo.
up. He starts calling it in regret.
You broke my heart.
And he shows
You literally broke my heart.
he starts showing regret for killing his brother.
So he literally broke his heart.
Yeah, so he broke his heart, just like in Jack. He broke his heart. His heart broke.
Francis Ford Coppola and the heart breaks.
I don't know. He just. I think that did it for him. You know. So he starts showing remorse, and Michael's character starts. He turns into this person who now sees that, like every other person that he has, killed. That is his fate now, and there's nothing he can do about it. Either way or not, business is gonna come full circle, and whether it's a bullet, or it's a heart attack.
Can you reenact that scene real quick? The Sofia Coppola getting shot. Oh yeah.
After wait, let me finish it. Let me just finish it. Right.
Can we recreate it outside?
I'm
For a skit?
just gonna summarize part 3 and what it means, and just to get closure of this, right? So, Michael realizes that it's gonna come full circle. Whether it's a bullet or it's a heart attack, that he's gonna suffer the same fate, just like the Don did. It's always gonna come full circle. So he hands off his position to the cousin in exchange for not dating his daughter
Yes.
and giving
Yes.
and that's all I got from the film. It's a really bad movie.
I feel bad for you.
It's a really bad movie. Like
So
it's
anyways,
a really
so
bad
sorry for the
movie.
rambling with Jason. This imaginary movie made of letterbox shitbox.
If you guys watch our last podcast, you'll know that we have this thing that
Awfully hot coffee pot.
we're still working on the name, but it's either
Letterbox shitbox.
comment in the section and then in the comment section below. Do you like awfully hot coffee pot or letterbox shitbox? You decide. You decide.
All right, before we get into this, let's just close out the Godfather and be like, it's Godfather.
The greatest.
The Godfather.
I mean,
watch it if you haven't seen it.
like all the hype
Don't
that
be like me and wait your whole life.
all the hype that the Godfather has gotten throughout the years.
it's so
it's worth it.
deserving. It's
If
worth
you're
it.
gonna watch the film, watch it in your like alone time, especially like just like the best time to watch it at night. Like just you're watching in your room. Make sure
Lock the
no
doors.
one's there. No one's like no one's gonna
Chastity
disturb
belt
you.
on.
If you can watch it in theaters, then perfect.
Do it.
Yeah.
It's probably
get-
the
if you
best
get-
way to like just in general. Well, a lot of movies are perfect in watching in theaters, but Godfather is a whole different story.
Excluding part 3.
Okay, good.
Alright,
So we're
Part
just,
three.
let's just imagine
You
part
could
3
take
never
the
happened.
chastity belt off after that point.
Yeah. And now, thanks you guys. But we're gonna play this game. It's called Letterbox Shitbox with David.
Letterbox shitbox with Dave.
You want us to do it, or do you want just David to do it? Let's have just David do it now.
Let's just do David.
Yeah.
We're gonna do this fun game
So,
with David.
if you don't know how Letterbox Shitbox works, then this is how it works, right? There's this thing. It's called Letterbox. If you don't know what Letterbox is,
Put my letterbox right
what are you doing with yourself? Our letterboxes are in the description below, but it is this website where you can write, you can review, log, and create lists of your favorite films that you have watched throughout your life.
You can follow people like this guy.
Or this guy. Stop plugging yourself.
No, dude, it's
You're like the
FilmBrew.
Godfather Part 3.
No, it's not.
You
I'll
are.
put you in part 3.
It's film. It's a podcast I'm a part of. I could. It's film related. Okay, if I was like putting my like business handle or something,
You pretty much are.
but this is film related.
No, yeah, I'm joking. I'm joking with you.
So-
I get it.
David, you ready to play?
Yeah, I'm ready for it. Let's do
There
it.
you play. Letterbox.
He's on the hot box now.
You're in the hot box. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. You're in the hot box right now, David. Right. So how this game works is there is a review section on movies on Letterboxd. There's pretty much every movie ever made. Yeah, on Letterboxd.
Yes.
And you can sort them from the highest reviewed review to the lowest lowest rated review. And so we go through and we find the funniest. We curate a list of the funniest reviews that we find on Letterboxd.
And we try to make it confusing a little. At least I did.
Well, most of the
Those
comments
films.
that are bad reviews are confusing, like
Yeah,
just in
so
general.
like, and that's another part of the game is that you have. The point of the game is you have to guess which film it belongs to. And for today, we're doing the Godfather Trilogy. And you have to guess which film the review belongs to.
Oh, alright.
play the game show music right now.
Alright.
All right, so our lovely assistant Rent Rosario is behind the camera, and he will be spoon feeding these reviews inside of David's mouth. So, David, are you ready?
I'm gonna suck at this. What? I'm gonna try.
Alright, this is from Big John Ladd.
Yes, make sure to say the names, please.
Big John Ladd reviewed in March 23rd, 2022.
Wow. Okay.
Pretty recent with 2 likes. And
One
he
of them were
says,
yours.
Jesus Christ, this movie was bad. I almost turned it off halfway through due to the lack of entertainment it was bringing me. The Godfather will never be as good as Fortnite the movie Part 1, and I hope the director realizes that.
I wonder which one
I
this is
wonder
for.
Which one could it be?
It's Fortnite 2.
That is true. That's my answer. Well, let's go back to what he said. He said he want Fortnite 2.
Yes.
Fortnite 1, actually.
Fortnite 1?
Yeah,
Fortnite 1?
Part
And
I didn't know there
you
was a
know,
Fortnite Part 2.
Fortnite 1.
Trilogy.
It's kind of it reminds you of certain film, just like with the directing, the acting, everything. It's just everything in general.
Comment
It
down below if you want a
reminds me
review of the Fortnite movie.
of Godfather. So my answer is The Godfather.
You locking in the Godfather?
Yeah.
Ding 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 ding.
Oh my god!
I'm so smart.
Good
What can I
job.
say?
Off to the next one.
Alrighty. Would have been good if I actually understood what we're. Oh, wait, frick. I forgot.
That's right.
This is by Going Overboard. On April 27th, 2022, with 3 likes. He says, would have been good if I actually understood what they were saying or had the wacky quips, but nah. It continues to consist upon itself.
Wow. Okay.
Continues to insist upon itself.
I literally don't know. Okay.
There's 3 options.
You got 3 options.
Wait, for the 3 films?
Yeah.
Which one insists upon itself?
You got me to pick. Okay. I'm just gonna guess the second movie. Which one was it?
No, you gotta keep guessing. Oh wait, no.
Oh.
You only got 3 choices.
3 choices.
One. If I get one wrong, then it's good. All right, then I got that one wrong. So the next one.
Alright. This is by 3D Waffle X2.
X2.
March 2019, 2022. No likes. No one liked
It's
this.
kind of around the time we saw it.
The movie is trash. There's no scene of Adam Sandler fighting Donkey Kong.
Which movie is that?
Which movie doesn't have Adam Sandler fighting Donkey Kong?
There's one wrong answer.
Oh my god. Okay. I have to go. I don't want to say, but Godfather Part 1. What was it?
Come on, 2-1.
The Godfather Part 2.
Oh my god.
Come on, there was Adam Sandler fighting a donkey in the first one, man.
I guess so. I was just.
I don't think
I
he's.
didn't
I
pay
don't think
attention. I didn't pay
he saw that one.
attention.
He didn't pay attention.
I didn't pay attention. All right, the next one.
Alright, here's the next one. This is by Family Guy Gonna Put Some Dirt in You.
Oh.
Watched on January 20th, 2022 with 4 likes.
Ooh.
Highest we've ever seen. He says, it's good to see how other low-budget, up-and-coming directors take inspiration from Paul Blart and Paul But I would like to see more creative input, as I felt it's too similar to Zookeeper, or more accurately, Grown Ups 2. Love the homemade pipe though.
Which one is that? I don't even know which one this could be for.
Well,
Well, go ahead. Which one feels homemade?
Low budget.
no much homie.
Which one doesn't feel like grown-ups?
Let's go with Part 3. Just kidding. No, Part 1. What? Oh yeah, let me guess. It's 3. It's 3, isn't it? What?
This is part 2?
What?
It's part 2?
What?
Give him the bread.
Give him the bread.
Give him the
anyway.
bread.
There you go.
Give him the bread.
Oh.
We ate all the bread, dude.
Oh, get the
Oh my
paper.
God.
Oh, here.
There you go,
That's
Dave.
some crap.
Oh,
No.
Shit.
Right here.
Almost
Congratulations.
There you
Dave.
go, Dave.
I don't even like goldfish.
You will be on the next podcast. Well, maybe not the next one, but you'll be on the podcast.
Next
Another
one,
podcast.
or the next one, or the next
We
one.
enjoy having.
And
You
we'll
know-
be back.
Did you know that every podcast that David is on has the best views and the best analytics?
This one gets the best
Yeah, yeah.
So statistically, having David on the podcast is good for the channel.
True.
And it's good for the
Right.
health and integrity of FilmBrew as a brand and as a organization of people who love movies.
So not only will David be back, but we will be back. The Northman. The next one. We'll be doing the Northman.
Where's my phone? Where you guys been?
We're not asking him to get the guitar out. We're not fucking asking
No, Ben. Will David be on?
him. Sorry, man.
Ben, will David be on the next podcast? Well,
Alright,
Gotta watch the
Thanks,
Northman.
I'm on to the next
You
one.
gotta watch the Northman.
thanks guys for coming
Thank you so much.
and enjoying the FilmBrew podcast.
The Godfather.
We
Great
really
film.
hope if you have any thoughts about The Godfather or anything else in general, I mean, to be honest, comment down below
Please do comment. It's
because
good
we
for the
appreciate your comments.
Save this to your playlist. Share it.
Show
Whatever you gotta do
show
to
your
get us up
grandmother.
there. Yeah, show your grandmother. Show everyone who likes The Godfather.
Yeah.
Send this to all the boomers in your family.
Even
They'll
to
it.
your
They'll
dead
like it.
relatives.
They will.
There you go.
Well,
Let's go.
that was The Godfather.
Stop staring at me like that. Roll.
We like to talk about films for your consumption. Come take a seat, I'll tell you something. If you like movies, we're the thing for you. You're watching FilmBrew
Podcast.
Woo! Yeah! Yeah! Looks like Tommy was on!
I don't like focus on my fucking dumbass piece of shit.